We're giving you a front row seat to the biggest entertainment show of the year, the 84th Academy Awards.
We've traveled from Beantown to Tinseltown to show you what it takes to make an award-winning movie today.
So sit back, relax. WEBN special presentation New Hollywood starts now.
Welcome to WEBN's special presentation, New Hollywood. I'm Victoria Bergland.
And I'm Mike Lamia. We're on the red carpet bringing you behind the scenes of this year's hottest movies and biggest stars.
And what's a better way to start than with the men behind it all? The Academy President, the production designer, and the art director.
You're right, Victoria. I spent some time on the red carpet with Joe Celli and John Meyer and found out about this year's set design, while Tom Sherrick showed me what it takes to make the biggest award show of the year a success.
We want the audience to feel like even though it's an Academy Award show, they're watching something that they can really relate to.
The Academy Awards is looking past the prestige and trying to make the show more relatable to its viewers.
It's not good where the audience is having a great time and the people at home aren't. It's a combination of how do you make both those things happen.
The perfect design comes from the imagination of the production team. John Meyer is the production designer for the Academy Awards and designs every aspect of the show.
And the Oscars is the most sophisticated, the most elegant, and the best award show because it's all about film. So we've taken the Kodak Theater and we've turned it into the penultimate picture palace, the most grand movie palace you could ever imagine.
And while John Meyer designs, Joe Celli executes. The two work together as a team to develop the vision of the biggest award show of the year, even though this is the duo's first time working together.
This is my 9th time on the show, so it's always great. Challenging, but great to incorporate new people into the project.
The design and theme can only take the team so far. At the end of the night, the Academy President knows what the viewers truly want.
You hope that the people who get the statuette, who become Oscar winner, that when they get up there, they speak from their heart. You know, they don't thank everybody there in the world. They get up there and they talk about what it means to them.
They've all worked many months to prepare and bring their vision to life.
So now we know the backdrop for the big event, but what about the after party?
Depends if we're invited.
Well, April Baker got to experience the next best thing. She went behind the scenes of the Governor's Ball. April?
Special events producer Cheryl Shaquetto knows what it takes to throw the biggest after party of the year. This year's Governor's Ball will be breaking decades of tradition.
Like, everything is completely different this year. So it's not reserved seating and it's not a sit-down dinner. With that being said, it's all lounge furniture and banquettes. It's really casual, beautiful, elegant seating.
And this easy but elegant style of dining and decor was dreamed up by veteran event producer Cheryl Shaquetto. The Governor's Ball has traditionally featured a classic 3-course seated dinner, but Shaquetto has injected a brand new vibe, vigor, and theme into this time-honored event.
When you come up with new ideas because there's new environments around you. It's a Mediterranean theme, but that's the architecture and the framework to create intimacy and warmth.
So Shaquetto is ready to take a big risk this year, and she is excited about it.
What do we got to lose? We can always go back.
It's clear that Cheryl Shaquetto prides herself in creating the biggest after party in Tinseltown. There are over 900 staff members who will make sure that the 1,500 guests have a great time. Back to you.
Thanks, April. You know, the after party does look fun, but I hear the best part is the food.
Especially when Wolfgang is in the kitchen.
Let's let Darian Harvin's taste buds do the talking. Darian?
I went behind the stove with celebrity chef Wolfgang, and he gave me a sneak peek at the menu for this year's Governor's Ball.
Every year we make the chocolate Oscars. So this year we're going to have them on a chocolate red velvet staircase lined up so people can get them. And the fun part it's going to be in 3D. You put the glasses on, so every guest going to get a pair of these glasses, so put it on. And now you can see the Oscar, you can see it coming out on you.
I feel like I could pick it up.
Yeah, so
I have my own Oscar. Everyone gets their own Oscar.
I know, so you do that in your living room at home, you're going to get really confused. The Oscar going to jump out on you.
Wolfgang Puck is having his signature dessert pop, and it's all in honor of this year's 3D movies. As head chef of the Governor's Ball, he calls all the shots and has made the 3-course meal a thing of the past. Instead, he is having small plates of unique tastes served in rounds across the ballroom.
And then we have pot stickers, little tacos with lobster and jalapeno, little pretzel, little breadstick with Spanish ham.
Puck showed me how we can eat at home, just like the guests do here at the Oscars after party.
One of everybody's favorite is chicken pot pie. We're gonna make that probably the most. So we serve each one in an individual casserole so you can get your individual pie. And then that's a dish. If you're a student or at home, you can actually do too. So you can just buy some chicken, make a little sauce, put vegetables in there, fill that up. I know you're in Boston, you can add a little lobster to it if you want to. And then cover it with a little puff pastry, just like that.
Wolfgang always adds special ingredients to home-cooked meals to give them that Oscars taste, but some dishes are award-winning every year.
There are some dishes which are tradition already, like the smoked salmon Oscars, the Kobe burger, the golden chocolate Oscar.
But there is one challenge Puck and his team always have to face head-on.
It is a challenge to serve people in a timely fashion and serve it hot, just like we serve it in a restaurant if we do 100 people. You know, I want to serve 1,500 people, everything has to be just perfect. So it's really hard because there's a lot of pressure to finish everything in the last moment.
But Puck always manages to get it all done, and he's actually celebrating all day.
I eat all day, I taste all day, and when I sit down, it's really at the end of the evening when everybody is fed.
Wolfgang Puck was such a good teacher, and now I can't wait to put on my apron and take a stab at some of those recipes. Back to you, Mike and Victoria.
Thanks, Darian. Now that we've witnessed culinary excellence, it's time to take a break.
When we come back, we'll take a look at some of this year's Oscar-nominated films, so sit tight. WEBN special presentation in New Hollywood. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to WEBN's special presentation, New Hollywood. We now know the hard work that goes into the award show and the after party, but there can't be either without any movies.
We went behind the lens to find out what it takes to make a hit film in the industry today.
Jordan Moncada talked to a little person who had a big impact on the Oscar-nominated film, The Descendants. Jordan?
That's right, Victoria. Amara Miller's largest role has been a one-liner in her school play, until she was Scotty in The Descendants.
Amara Miller was a little girl with a big dream.
When I was about 7 years old, I told my Aunt Kate that I wanted to be an actress. She asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I want to be an actress. And then she said, well, we should probably get you some lessons. I was like, oh, I don't need acting lessons.
And Amara didn't need acting lessons to snag a role in the Oscar-nominated film, The Descendants. The film had an all-star cast, including award-winning actor George Clooney and ABC Family star Shailene Woodley. Although the budding actress was brand new to the scene, she wasn't intimidated.
I didn't know who both of them were. I know. I was 9 years old and they don't do kid movies.
But it didn't take long for Amara to get to know her co-stars.
They were, of course, there to support me the whole time, but I used a lot of myself to prepare for the role.
In addition to working with the adults like Clooney on set, Amara also interacted with them off-screen.
He was really good with playing with me and, you know, telling jokes with me and just hanging out with me. He was a really awesome person.
Even though Amara is rooting for Clooney, who is up for Best Actor, she also seems intrigued by his Oscar competitor from Moneyball.
At the SAG Awards, I went around with my friend Ariel Winter, who's in Modern Family, and we went and we kind of, we were looking for Brad Pitt for like a half an hour.
The Descendants is up for 5 Oscar nominations. Filming in Hawaii brought out the true colors of a hurting family. Back to you.
You're right, Jordan, and it doesn't hurt that they got to shoot on a beautiful island.
On the other hand, there's another Oscar-nominated film that was only shot in black and white.
And it's silent. I got to sit down with the executive producer of The Artist, Richard Middleton, and he told me why there's been a lot of buzz around this black and white silent film.
Everybody, I think, believed that we were making something really special. The whole black and white silent nature of it, and whether or not audiences would accept that and be intrigued enough to go to see it, we didn't know.
But only after a few days on set, the film's potential became clear when crew members cried during an emotional scene.
If the people that know the story, know it intimately, are moved by what they're seeing, then there's the possibility that an audience that knows nothing may go in and be equally touched.
The Artist is not only unique in its genre, the original script was shot in only 35 days.
Once the script was written, it didn't change. Once the movie was shot, they didn't go back and do any reshoots.
Because no one knew how audiences would respond to the film, Middleton and his team based success on execution of the story.
The goal in the film for everybody involved was, if you didn't feel when you walked out of the theater that you watched a movie made in the late 20s or early 30s, then we failed.
A black and white silent film was something the director had always wanted to do. He presented the lead role to actor Jean Dujardin.
Michelle went to him and said that, he said, I want to direct a black and white silent movie. And Jean said, I want to go to the moon. Neither of us is going to get what we want.
For some actors, the Academy Awards is like going to the moon. And Dujardin is nominated for Best Actor for his role in The Artist.
He showed me how no color and no sound can be the perfect mixture for 10 Oscar nominations.
That's true, but what about those nominees that don't even require a camera?
Jillian Wilson knows what sets one animated short film apart from the rest. Jillian?
Toy Story, Cars, and now you can add La Luna to your list of favorite animations. I spoke with director and producer of the short film.
La Luna is a short movie with a lasting impression. Enrico Casarosa wrote and directed the short. He thinks the beauty of its animation is what landed the Oscar nomination.
Our production designer did beautiful little pastels for each moment. We definitely wanted this to be a breathtaking kind of a world that we took our characters and the viewers.
La Luna's producer, Kevin Rear, says it was a treat to produce the short. This Pixar veteran produced Toy Story and A Bug's Life, and he believes Enrico's foreign flair is what makes La Luna so unique.
There's just a languid feel to, and maybe it's the Italian in Enrico, maybe it's the sort of the storytelling, but it's just a very relaxed, very lyrical short film.
The Italian director says his childhood memories with his dad and grandfather inspired La Luna's story.
They weren't talking to each other a whole lot, but they would talk to me. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of call some of that feeling and tell a story about a boy that really needs to find his own way between, two strong personalities.
La Luna has 3 characters, Bambino, Papa, and Nano. The viewer doesn't actually know their names because there is no real dialogue, just a bunch of gibberish.
We actually even tried to write gibberish a couple of times. That was the fun part, because you could even spell it to zibbidi dibbidi bobbidi, but that was horrible because people then would start reading it and it didn't sound normal.
But Enrico wasn't shy to act out his own gibberish. And it's this type of playful spirit the director wants his audience to feel.
I hope it can make us feel like a kid again,
Even the shortest of films can make a big impact on the movie industry. Back to you, Victoria and Mike.
Thanks, Jillian. Laughter really is one of the best medicines, and sometimes the easiest way to do it is to watch a funny movie.
Jordan Moncada got a dose of humor from the producers of Crazy Stupid Love. Jordan?
No matter how serious movies about the modern day family can be, there is always room for comedy. Producers Vance DeGeneres and Charlie Hartsock proved this in one of this year's raciest family movies.
It was a match made in Hollywood heaven. When funny man Steve Carell started his own production company, he tapped into some old resources. Carell put his former co-worker Vance DeGeneres and college buddy Charlie Hartsock in charge of Carousel Productions.
I had a deal with Telepictures when Steve called and said that he was starting a production company at Warner Brothers and asked Charlie and I to come run it for him.
We get along great here at the office. We have the same sense of humor, the same sensibility. When somebody comes in to pitch us an idea, we have the same thoughts about grounding it.
The guys were looking for the perfect pitch to jumpstart Carousel Productions. Luckily for them, the script for Crazy Stupid Love fell right into their laps.
When you find a great script and you put it into pre-production, that's where the fun and the trouble starts.
Fun and trouble have made for an exciting combo for DeGeneres and Hartsock. It was easy to find writers for the movie, but finding faces for the big screen was tougher.
It's really a matter of timing, because so many movies are shooting at the same time, and you just pray that your movie is going to hit the window where the actors that you want are going to be available.
This would be Carousel Productions' first motion picture, but DeGeneres and Hartsock were making their producing debut too. They ultimately produced a huge success. DeGeneres and Hartsock are using this momentum for the next chapter.
Just continue our process of finding the way to brand Carousel.
Crazy Stupid Love did snag a Golden Globe nomination. And who knew Ryan Gosling could be so devious, yet so charming? Back to you, Mike and Victoria.
Thanks, Jordan. So far, we've talked about some great movies, but now it's time for a break.
When we come back, WEBN's special presentation, New Hollywood, heads to the big leagues.
You
you would think, that was art.
Welcome back to WEBN's special presentation, New Hollywood. America watched this year as one particular film hit it out of the park.
Moneyball went beyond the diamond to give audiences an unconventional sports film.
Jordan Moncada sat down with the infield coach in Moneyball. Jordan?
There aren't many sports movies that take their fans away from the field, but Moneyball was one of those few. Brent Jennings told me what it was like to be in the game.
Tell him, Wash. It's incredibly hard.
This actor didn't need to be an athlete to be on an all-star team. Brent Jennings played the infield coach Ron Washington in the Oscar-nominated film Moneyball. Although it wasn't Jennings' first feature film, he was ecstatic to land the role.
Aaron Sorkin had done the script, so, Bennett Miller's directed it, Brad Pitt starring in it, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jonah Hill, so it was a A-plus cast.
And once filming began, Jennings' teammates in the movie became his baseball buddies off-screen.
It got to be like being on a baseball team, so there were practical jokes in the dugout, and then we'd always run and take batting practice.
But to Jennings, Moneyball wasn't all about the game.
It's really about how we evaluate talent, how we make the best of what's available to us, how we evaluate ourselves. It was about a lot of things that I think everyday people are dealing with around the metaphor of baseball.
Do you think you'll lose your job?
What? If you just watch the movie, every scene is really full and complete and well executed and well calibrated, and nothing is wasted. I mean, it's really finely tuned.
Moneyball hopes to win all 6 of its nominations. Back to you.
Thanks, Jordan. You know what? Maybe I'll become a baseball player.
From a TV host to a baseball player, do you think you're a Transformer?
Yeah, I know. But Jillian did talk with the executive producer of the third Transformers film, and it gave me a little faith that I can do anything. Jillian?
Mark Veradian explained how to make a third Transformers movie Oscar-worthy.
When you think robots, artsy might not be the first thing that comes to mind. But think again, because Transformers has packed robots, action, and art into an Oscar nomination.
We are dealing with a level of visual effects complexity, especially, that has never been done before. And we make sure that every single robot and other effects in every frame is, looks absolutely photoreal.
Mark Veradian is the film's executive producer. He believes sharp sound and visual effects cannot be discounted.
Not everybody understands exactly the level of difficulty and complexity and the time and the tireless effort that goes into our movies, even though they're summer popcorn movies. They are as artistic, I think, as any of the other nominees.
Transformers is nominated for 3 Oscars. Veradian believes it's the underdog in the race.
A big pop movie, like a big summer movie, has a harder time getting one of these awards.
But this is no ordinary summer blockbuster. Veradian says the art lies in the action.
If you pulled one frame from this movie and looked at it carefully and saw the composition of it and, like I said, the color palette and all that, you would think, that was art.
Transformers Dark of the Moon is up for 3 Oscar nominations this year. I can't believe how technology has changed the way we view movies. Back to you.
Thanks, Jillian. A film can transform into a masterpiece without the right makeup.
And perfect makeup can make even the most beautiful woman look like a man.
A man?
Yes, a man. Matthew Mungle is up for Best Makeup Design for his work in Albert Nobbs. And April Baker got to experience the artist's design firsthand. April?
It takes more than great acting to create award-winning films. And Matthew Mungle showed me how his work separates him from the rest.
He is the mastermind behind transforming Glenn Close from this to this. And makeup artist Matthew Mungle showed us just how he did it for the movie Albert Nobbs.
She actually loved her husband's nose, so she sent me a picture of it, so I sculpted her husband's nose on her face. And also we used earlobes, as you can see from right here. And then also she had ear plumpers to push her ears out. And then she also had what we call dental plumpers from within that fit over her teeth and then pushed her jaw out just slightly, just to give her a little more masculine jaw.
The meticulous detail and care Matthew puts into his makeup and special effects has come with time and experience. And in reality, he has done makeup for almost all of Hollywood. Just take a look at his wall of celebrity heads.
How long has it taken you to develop this like comprehensive collection of heads?
Well, I've been doing makeup for 34 years, and it's taken at least that long to collect all of these.
And as a veteran makeup and special effects artist in the industry, he says the pressure for makeup perfection has only amplified over the years.
It's gotten a little bit more precise with HD television and high-definition film. You have to be right spot on with everything and very meticulous with your application.
But Matthew admits that his special makeup and effects can only do so much in transforming the actor and actress into their character.
As I always say, we as makeup artists and prosthetic makeup artists can do the best makeup ever, but it's up to the actress to bring that character to life.
There are masks hung up and props everywhere in Mungle's studio. It definitely takes more than paint and glue to create the masterpieces I saw. Back to you.
Thanks, April. Now that takes brilliant work. In movies, some artists do transformational makeup, while others design the entire set.
I saw all 5 nominees for art direction discuss their Oscar-nominated sets. Different would be an understatement when comparing the nominees for Best Art Direction.
It's just an amazing combination. It just goes to show you that the work is more important than the dollar amount ultimately, because it's their imagination and their passion that has brought them the recognition that they're getting right now.
The budget alone separates the films from each other. Movies like Harry Potter had over a $200 million budget. At the same time, the artists only had around $10 million. Meanwhile, the art directors of Midnight in Paris are hoping a return to classic set direction will give them an edge.
I think we have a movie which is done the old way. No CGI, no stage. I don't know. Maybe the love of the American for Paris, maybe.
But visual effects, 3D, and even CGI do have a place in the nomination. The art directors of Hugo creatively used 3D to help the audience feel like they were walking the streets with the characters.
It's like you are inside the screen. You look at the movie, it's like you're part of the people stay inside the train station. You can walk with them.
But regardless of their differences, a similarity among true artists and innovators can never be denied.
This group of people that's represented here is pretty amazing, not only because of the obvious talent and the breadth of all this work, but if you think about the global mix-up that's represented here in terms of the art form, I think there's something to that even though one can say there's a variety of depth and range, there's also a similarity, because there's a real romance, I think, and heart that all of these movies express.
You know, it's rare to get that much talent on one stage. They talked about how to make a vision come to life.
And now it's almost time to hand out the awards. We'll be right back with WEBN's special presentation, New Hollywood.
You come to Boston.
And the girl has a La creme on top.
Welcome back. Just because we're in Hollywood doesn't mean we're the only ones who can acknowledge great filmmaking.
That's right, back on the East Coast, moviegoers can celebrate too. Danielle Ryan's got her own backstage pass to the Ellie Fun Boston Oscars party. Danielle?
Boston has rolled out its own Oscar red carpet.
Well, I'd love to see the fashions. I'd love to see the who's who of Boston and beyond.
I think it's just seeing everybody dressed up and having a great time and coming out in Boston to support the film industry. So it's great. And the Ellie Fund, obviously.
The Ellie Fund takes Oscar night as a way to raise money for breast cancer. For some guests, the night goes far beyond celebrating those Golden Trophy winners.
For family and friend consideration, my aunt had breast cancer, and a good friend of ours who's actually on the board, his wife passed away last Easter.
Of course, there was some buzz about Oscar predictions.
I think it's going to be very difficult, and I don't know if they're going to go for the good old boys like Christopher Plummer or what's going to happen.
The artist supposedly is a big front runner, but I think George Clooney, I'd like to see him.
Most of the chat was about the hub as the new Hollywood hotspot.
Boston is just a great city, and I have to say, they were very accommodating to us. They were great. We have so much architecture and history here, and I think, why wouldn't somebody want to come here and tear up Beantown for a couple of months and see what happens?
There's a lot of untapped talent, I think, in this area, and a lot of new faces that are just, yet to be seen.
So Boston really has emerged as kind of like a hip place to shoot movies, to be. It's the Hollywood East. So when you go to Hollywood and they want to cast these people that are interesting, rich characters, you come to Boston because we're the real deal.
Boston really has been dubbed the Hollywood of the East. Films like The Town, The Fighter, and The Social Network were all filmed in Boston and up for Academy Awards last year. This year, there are even a few reality shows scheduled to film in South Boston. In Boston, I'm Danielle Rhines, WEBN.
Thanks, Danielle. The Academy Awards isn't the only award show this weekend. The night before Oscar Sunday, we went to the Film Independent Spirit Awards.
Some Oscar-nominated films also won Spirit Awards. April Baker found out what it takes to double up.
It's the independent filmmakers' time to shine. I was in the press room at the Film Independent Spirit Awards where I got to see the winners firsthand.
It's a true character, and he'd written it with such affection and such lack of self-pity. It was fun to do.
It's been such a beautiful experience for me in my life and totally transformed me as a human being, so I'm grateful to have been a part of the film.
Woodley won Best Supporting Female for her role as Alexandra King in The Descendants.
My life has changed only in one way, and that is that I need to do laundry. I haven't had time to do laundry in a few months.
And it is these raw emotions and dialogue that makes this award show so unique.
Whatever you're working on in the moment feels like the hardest thing that you're working on because it's what's confronting you on a daily basis with your sort of shortcomings and what you're trying to get better at. And so I feel like whatever you're wrestling with at the moment always feels like the most challenging.
Many of this year's Oscar-nominated films are independent and placed in categories at the Spirit Awards. Back to you, Victoria and Mike.
Thanks, April. But you know what? She's not the only one with press room credentials.
Darian Harvin was in the Academy Awards press room where she got to hear the winners' first reactions.
I got to see the winners right after they came off the stage with their Oscars, and in the end, all that matters to some is taking home that piece of gold.
The Academy does value good work that's put out across the world, not just in North America.
This year's Oscar-winning films took moviegoers out of their seats and around the world. Meryl Streep said she felt like a kid again accepting her third award for Best Actress for her Margaret Thatcher role in The Iron Lady.
I was a kid when I won this. It's like 30 years ago. 2 of the nominees were not even conceived when I was. And so it was great.
Canadian Christopher Plummer won Best Supporting Actor for his role in The Beginners. He accepted the award, donning the pride of the Canadian pin. But the American film industry held its own. Octavia Spencer told WEBN the help cast was the reason for her Best Supporting Actress win.
I mean, it was an award-winning cast. So to be a part of that and to dissolve into the world that we were representing is something that we're supposed to do as actors, but it was rare that we did it without judgment with each other.
Hugo won 5 Oscars and made one thing clear: 3D is not a trend, but here to stay. The movie makers behind the lens explain what it took to make this 1930s-inspired film pop out the screen.
We had fun with it, and there's a lot of science behind it, but we try to take the science and distill it down to something that is so simple that it doesn't interfere with your instinctive creativity.
The Artist is the first film of its kind to win Best Picture since black and white was the norm, and the movie is considered a French romantic, but it was shot right here in Los Angeles.
I knew because it was silent and black and white would be different, original. And all the weakness that were at the beginning became strength.
Another Oscar show has brought some expected and not so expected victories, and we'll have to look forward to another year of movies to see what it'll take to impress the Academy. Back to our host on the red carpet. Thanks, Darian. Now all the awards have been handed out, and it's time for us to head back east.
We want to thank you for tuning in to WEBN's special presentation, New Hollywood. I'm Mike Lamia.
And I'm Victoria Bergland. We'll be back next year with another Front Row Seat.
It's amazing, it's incredible, it's unbelievable. Thank you.
This was literally 2 weeks prior to filming. Alexander had looked at 300 girls.
It's changed and made us better artists, that we're more meticulous with the way we apply and paint things.
He said at least the cast and the crew will have a very beautiful DVD to have as a memory for working on the movie, and that was legitimately what everybody thought.
Inside is chocolate and outside is 24 karat gold, so you can bite it.
La creme on top, and it's lovely to be sort of accepted, because you know that beyond the pleasure of working in front of a live audience particularly, it's a sort of general acceptance of your work, so it's thrilling.